Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois and Democratic Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy of Florida. They're both on the House Select Committee investigating the insurrection, and both are retiring after this term. Congressman Kinzinger, let's start with you. What can you tell us about the cooperation so far with members of Vice President Pence's team?
Well, it's been robust. I mean, we've obviously witnessed interviewed over 300 witnesses. The vice president's team has been cooperative. I think it's not just in their interest; it's in the country's interest. I think the vast majority of them are honorable, and they also recognize, as was mentioned in the report, that the vice president played an important role. And that's the key: is we may not have to talk to the president, the former president, but we're getting pieces of this puzzle. All these pieces right now are in this box, and when we put this puzzle together, we're going to be able to see what I think even more importantly is what was the president doing, what did he know prior to January 6th, and what led to this?
And Congresswoman Murphy, the vice president was not at the White House that day. He was on Capitol Hill with you and your colleagues. If you could ask him a question, what are some of the things you'd want to know?
Well, I'd like to know from him what he had said to the president when the president was pressuring him, both publicly and did he pressure him privately to act in a way different than what he did. I actually am very impressed that he carried out his duties as vice president and certified the election despite the enormous pressure and despite having his life be put on the line. He came back and did the right and patriotic thing for this country, and I want to understand the motivations behind that and what led up to that moment.
Yeah, interesting. And Congressman Kinzinger, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi led a moment of silence this morning. There were lives lost, including that of police officers that day and the subsequent days. The only Republicans on the House floor were Congresswoman Liz Cheney and her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney. I'm sure you would have been there as well. We should tell our viewers you're back home in the Chicago area because your wife is about to have a baby. But were you surprised that Liz Cheney was the only House Republican there? 5 people died that traumatic day. 4 police officers died by suicide in the days after.
Was I surprised? No. Was I disappointed? Yeah. And it kind of breaks your heart because, look, regardless of the politics of the moment, really democracy is at threat. And I don't even think a year ago I would have been so definitive in that. But what we've seen over the last year, a lack of accountability, continued misinformation, a sizable majority of Americans believing utter lies, democracy is at threat. And so if you're a member of Congress, and some probably had prior commitments, I understand that, but if you think you're going to avoid it because you don't want to answer the questions, this is, Jake, where I would encourage every member of the media, local media, national media, anytime you talk to a Republican member of Congress, ask them, was the election legitimate, and who do you think was responsible for January 6th? And don't let them weasel out. We need to be on the record for this. This is that dire to the future of self-governance.